That's the only question I have.
Yes. Everyone click your mics on for yourself. We don't have our mic turner on or not here.
You never know if it's going to be. I'm going to turn all the mics on. Wait. Why is mine? Wait a minute. Yours says.
We're switching seats. I like it. Welcome.
How do you pronounce it?
Do you know? Am I usually there? I know. Can you hear me? Oh.
That's okay, you're already set up.
Really? No, I don't want to move. Not to throw anybody off. I was like, what am I doing? I just casually sat here and I realized that I'm in the wrong seat.
It doesn't, no, just switch the names or something.
Yeah, no, the names are where they're supposed to be, but we're not. So, whatever you want.
Click your mic on. Everybody click your mic on.
Mike's.
Our mic turner honor is not here.
Mike's on.
Patty, click your mic on.
They're dying.
Watch what you say.
Just let me know when we're good.
I'd be okay with that.
We good?
Less.
Streaming? Great. All right, the time is 7:32. I call the June 6th meeting of Yardley Borough Council to order. Please stand for the pledge to our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God.
Indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please, Patty.
Okay, Ms. Siegel Morris,
Here.
Ms. Thompson,
Present.
Mr. Applebaum,
Present.
Mr. Finer, Mr. McCann,
Here.
Mr. Carlson,
Present.
Mr. Curtin.
Present.
Thank you. Moving on to community announcements, I will begin as we have done the past few years. We are canceling 2 of the meetings in the summer. So the meeting scheduled for July 4th and the meeting scheduled for August 1st are canceled and we will not be rescheduling them. So the only meetings in July will be July 18th and August 15th. Council committees will meet at the pleasure of the committee chairs. So if you need to reschedule, please let Manager Johnson know and she will post. Are there any other community announcements from council this evening about upcoming events? Any community announcements from the public? Hearing none, we will move on to public comment. This is the portion of the meeting where members of the public may address matters not on the agenda. Please come forward to the table, state your name and address, and keep your comments to 3 minutes per topic. Any public comment this evening? Hearing none, we will move on to consideration of the consent agenda dated June 6, 2023. The consent agenda includes approval of the minutes dated May 16th, event permit for Harvest Day, which will impact the Canal, East College, Bell, and Fitzgerald Field on 9/23. Banner permit for Harvest Day, September 9th through 24th, and it will be hung on Main Street. Event permit for Juneteenth celebrations on June 19th at 6:30 p.m. here at Borough Hall, and certificate of appropriateness 23-24 41 East Afton Ave fence, 23-25 30 South Main Street sign, 23-26 43 South Main Street sign, 23-27 136 to 138 South Main Street overhang. Does any member of council wish to remove an item from consideration from the consent agenda?
Can we please remove the minutes as I wasn't here?
Absolutely. Any other removals this evening? Hearing none, I will call the question, or is there a motion to approve the consent agenda as submitted without item A?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion is made by Councilperson Siegel Morris, seconded by Councilperson Carlson. Any discussion from council? From the public? Yes.
Rich Wayne, co-chairman, Yardley Borough Day. I want to thank the borough for getting on the contractor to fix the field. It looks way better than it did just a week ago. There is one tiny little divot left that could stall somebody's foot, entire foot. If we get Ken Smith to fill it in, we're great. And hopefully the grass grows well.
And a little rain.
And does somebody know where the divot is?
It's right in line with where Ken Smith put in the V-traps Farms Day last year. So if it goes there and it goes in, he'll probably find it.
Thank you. Any other comments on the consent agenda? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries 7-0. And now I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes dated May 16th, 2023.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second?
Motion was made by Councilperson Siegel Morris, seconded by Councilperson Applebaum. Any discussion about the minutes from the public? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Abstentions?
Aye.
Motion carries 601. Moving on to the police chief's report, please.
Thank you, ma'am. All I have is one item tonight, and that is monthly service statistics for May 2023. We handled 615 calls for service, issued 2 parking tickets, issued 67 traffic citations, investigated 5 motor vehicle accidents, and made 2 arrests, neither of which were for DUI. And that concludes my report.
Thank you.
Can I ask just a question? So I just noticed, this is observational, but there seems to be a lot of aggressive driving happening right now. I don't know if you've noticed it, but just spoke to other parents and, you know, more speeding and just, well, we saw a car crash happen, you know, during the FC works. But just wondering if, first of all, if you've noticed that in the department, and if you have any ideas of how to handle that. One suggestion I was throwing out is whether we still have those speed signs, the digital speed signs, and if you need more
Last
of
I
those.
heard, those speed signs were due to go on North Main and West College.
Okay,
But again, they'll move frequently throughout the summer.
move around, right. So have you noticed that, or,
No, our
normal?
summonses are around the same as last year, and our traffic accidents remain at 5, so.
okay,
Yeah, I mean, we're continually enforcing, we're still doing proactive
Right.
details every shift, but it, you know, it's a matter of where are we and is it observed?
yeah, okay, thank you.
And just one more note on that, bus patrol, as everyone knows, is up, and that's been issuing, we get tapes each morning, and our officers review them, and anyone who passes a school bus anywhere in the Pennsbury School District is captured on video, and then we issue citations following the video review.
Chief, when you say pass, is it just in the same direction or the opposite direction as well?
Either direction.
Thank you for clarifying that, because some residents did not know.
What do you mean? Do you mean perpendicular?
Well, so if you pass the bus, go around and pass it,
Correct.
that's illegal.
That's correct.
Coming the opposite direction, passing the bus when they have a stop sign up.
As long
You're
as you're
going south and the bus is
Yeah,
going north.
those are both illegal. What is not illegal is if you're back on a side street and the bus goes down that way.
Right, understood.
Yeah.
That's what they had a
The
problem
cameras
with.
catch both directions, yeah.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you. Manager's report, standing in for Manager Johnson is Patty Sargent.
Okay, I'm asking for a consensus to accept the finance report that's dated June 6, 2023.
Any issues with the finance report as submitted? You have our consensus?
Okay. And then I just have a recap of May. So we had 4 zoning applications, no hearings for the zoning hearing board, 6 building permits, 1 which was part of the FEMA elevation project, 9 UNOs were performed, 6 trash certifications were issued. The May real estate transfer tax was $9,510. For the right to knows, we closed out 3 from April. We also closed out 4 from May. And Yardley Borough has 1 right to know currently in process. And this request is for about 10 different items between 2022 and 2023. Just to give you a brief overview of the request, it's for invoices, building code, zoning, reports, invoices for legal, engineering, different purchases, payroll schedules, and associated documents. So that is going to be a 30-day extension. And Yardley Borough won an appeal in Harrisburg, and there's also another appeal that was submitted to Harrisburg. And the funds that we spent on Right to Knows were $92.70 for the Right to Know assistant, $525 for Curtin and Hefner, and for Rudolph Clark, it was $2,590. And that concludes the May report.
Madam President, may I ask a question to the solicitor? Solicitor, sorry to cut you off guard. What is the position of the solicitor as far as announcing who the people are that are making the right to know request? I'm not familiar with the process. I know that we're announcing what it is and how much and if they're a resident or not, but can we find out and announce who those people are?
I don't know that it's prohibited. I would suggest that, people have a right to submit right-to-know requests. Think carefully about, making an announcement, pertaining to someone exercising their rights in that regard. So, but if you want us to look into see whether it's permissible or not to announce names, we could do that.
I just wasn't familiar, and maybe we'll take you up on that. Thank you very much.
Yeah, it's one additional question about that. How about the number of people? The total so far was how much
For,
Year to date, or it was,
year to date for
I
right to
have the bill
knows?
right here. So the period from March 1st to April 30th, so that's 2 months. The legal bills for Rudolph and Clark was $2,600, $2,590. Curtin Hefner was a pretty de minimis amount over that period of time. I don't think we have the year to date. Do you have it?
it's about 26,000, and that includes appeals, anything that's in process.
And I will say some of that, though, is, we got billed this year for stuff
I
last.
understand.
Okay, yeah,
But
yeah,
but
sorry.
there's also stuff.
Of
that
course,
we're
yeah,
not
of course,
billed
yep,
yet.
sorry.
But how many entities, how many parties, just the number of people who made requests? Maybe you have an estimate? Is it like
3,
three?
I would say.
So
I mean,
it's averaging that 3 people of a town of, 2,300 are generating, 26. I just want to make that known, because that affects every single person in this town. And I hope that people, I understand the process of right to know, and I think it's an important thing to have in government, but I hope that people who live here, we are all neighbors, act responsibly in making those requests, because we all have to pay for them. Thanks.
Yeah, we have discussed within leadership meetings with Manager Johnson and Vice President Seal Morris and myself releasing names. It was decided against because it's a very fine line between discouraging use of the right to know law and how that might be seen by the courts. So as a step towards transparency, we did this year begin with these monthly reports where we state how much we've spent and what we have pending, and we feel like that's a good step towards letting the public know that this is going on and how much it's costing taxpayers. And that's currently where I think we're going to leave it in terms of releasing information, but it's certainly something that we're keeping an eye on. Luckily, the request numbers are going down. So for now, it's less of a problem than it was fiscal year '22.
and Patty, correct, we have 1 appeal open at the moment, is that right?
I believe so.
That's
I
correct.
think so,
Yeah, there's one in Harrisburg.
Right.
Yep. Okay, I'm trying to remember where we were. Manager's report, I think. Is it anything further on the manager's report? Okay, thank you. Any other questions from council or the public? Okay, engineer's report, please.
Thank you. We've provided our engineer's report for council's review. If there's any questions, we can answer those or move on.
Any questions on the report?
I just, on the north, phase 2 of north, are there still any remaining, this is more the financial part of it, do we owe any more money on that? Or do we feel like, I know there's a punch list that I saw that we're gonna clean up some of that stuff, but is there financially, do we think we have additional expenses that we have to incur on that one.
There are some additional expenses, and we are working on submitting a request for reimbursement for the grants as well.
Okay.
I've got two things to ask. One is about, on North Main, there's some parts that were not built to spec that have to be corrected by the contractor, and that's at no cost to us.
Correct.
And then there are some requests by some, one or more neighbors that want to change the parameters.
Right.
I just want to get clarification from you that everything was designed according to a standardized way.
Yes.
So in other words, not one neighbor wasn't treated differently than another, just using a spec.
Correct.
Any changes that anybody would want would be like essentially a new process with a change order, a new
Correct.
charge and all that.
Correct.
And so, but outside of the issues we know about with that are out of spec, everything else is good to go as far as you've verified?
Yeah, right now, the contractor's working on addressing the punch list. I'll also add what was mentioned earlier regarding the existing divot that we need to go back to as well. So, the contractor's going to address those items, and what we have looked at was the construction of some driveways, and the driveways were uniformly designed across the board per standard detail. But however, we are making punch list items to correct some deviations from our design plans as well.
So basically, if everything was built according to the spec that was designed, it stays. But if anything is out of spec, it gets corrected at no cost to us.
Correct.
Summarize the whole thing. That makes sense to me. And in terms of the grant for, that we're waiting to hear on for phase 3, I know I ask this every time, but is there like any indication whatsoever of when we'll hear it?
No, there is no indication at this point when they're going to announce the.
Yeah, and it's that same question, right? But there's a 7/31 deadline for a new application. Is that right? So I think there's just to make we're waiting on last year's, and then we have a new submission next month that we're doing for this year. So there will be two.
It's kind of like waiting for the lottery, but you don't know when the drawing is. Right. That's what it feels like.
Correct.
Thank you.
I'll move forward with the project updates. Our first item is Remington and Vernick's requesting permission to advertise the bid for the FEMA-funded 25 North Delaware Avenue project, provided the owner and agency comments are addressed by RVE.
Do I hear a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion was made by Councilperson Finer, seconded by Councilperson Applebaum. Any discussion from council? From the public? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries 7-0.
The next item is in reference to the upcoming DCED Multimodal Transportation Fund Grant. Remington Vernick is just requesting permission to assist Yardley Borough for the preparation and submission of the DCED Multimodal Transportation Fund Grant for the North Main Street Sidewalk Phase 3 project.
Thank you. And because I know the public would want to know this, and we often get questions on it, what's our history on this grant, Mr. Foley, and what's the timeline?
This grant is due on July 31st of this year. And what we have is we did receive a DCED grant in 2021 for this project. We did not receive the grant for 2022. And currently for Phase 3, we're waiting to hear back for the PennDOT MTF multimodal grant as well.
And we've been successful in the past, so we have a substantial amount of the grant drafted already.
Correct. And I was looking at before, we do have a budget under our, within our approved budget to assist Yardley Borough with submitting for grants, and we had a total budget of $5,000 for this year, and we've used approximately $1,200. So with that, we're looking at utilizing, that budget to assist the borough with submitting for the grant.
And this was one of the items we anticipated we would use this for.
Thank you.
And did you, sorry, I may have missed it, did you mention how much do you thought, is it the rest of it, or is it a portion of that remaining amount that you expect to use?
We anticipate it to be a portion of it, since we do have a lot of existing material for it. However, we do have the new paperwork to fill out, the new exhibits, and we'll be requesting a resolution at our next meeting as well. So there is there is effort with Paula, Yardley Borough, as well as Remington Vernick to move and submit the grant.
And do you think having completed now 2 phases, that strengthens our application in their eyes?
I believe it does strengthen it, as we do have 2 good segments there. Right now, the consideration of the borough, it is a no match at this point for the grant, and maybe there might have to be a discussion to see if maybe to strengthen the grant more is to have a match by Yardley Borough as well, which we should discuss.
I think if we can get feedback on that, before submission, that would be ideal, and we can talk about it as a
The
group.
degree to which it would make a difference.
Right. So I think, during our next Public Works meeting and the next meeting, maybe we could just discuss what we do find about, the selection from before.
That's why we like it, because there's no match, so it's kind of.
Yeah. Let's not get our checkbook out yet.
Yes.
But I also think that when we do our submission, we need to really hone in on this is as close to shovel-ready as a
Yeah.
significant project can be.
Engineering's
Done
Almost
twice.
totally done.
Right.
Yeah. We'd be going to bid pretty quickly after we got the money, so that should be attractive to,
That's our match, is that we've
yeah.
done the
We
work.
made the investment on the engineering and everything, right?
Yeah, engineering is almost done. There are a couple permitting items, as well as coordination with some Pico Gas as well, for that project to move forward. Okay.
Thank you. So do I hear a motion for RVE to assist Yardley Borough for the preparation and submission of the DCED Multimodal Transportation Fund Grant for North Main Street Phase 3?
So moved.
Second.
Motion was made by Councilperson Finer, seconded by Councilperson Curtin. Any discussion from council? Any further discussion? From the public? I'll call the question. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries 7-0.
The next item, the contractor submitted a change order request for the FEMA-funded 45 South Delaware Avenue elevation project. This change order is necessary for Premier Builders Incorporated to complete the lifting of the structure without the existing brick wainscoting. We're removing the wainscoting of the brick facade as we lift the project. The project is funded by FEMA grants. RVE recommends approval of change order number 1 to Premier Builders Incorporated in the amount of $2,600.
Is there a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion was made by Councilperson Finer, seconded by Councilperson McCann. Any discussion from anyone on this one? I'll call the question. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries 7-0.
Next item, the contractor submitted a change order request for the FEMA-funded 45 South Delaware Avenue elevation project. This change order is at the owner's request for Premier Builders Incorporated to install 2 additional courses of concrete masonry units. This change order is at the expense of the property owner. RVE recommends approval of change order number 2 to Premier Builders Incorporated in the amount of $19,500.
Do I hear that motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion was made by Councilperson Carlson, seconded by Councilperson Finer. Discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries 7-0.
Next one, the contractor submitted a change order request for FEMA-funded 81 North Delaware Avenue elevation project. This change order is necessary for Caddick Construction Company Incorporated for the additional work necessary to install a concrete footing at the front portion of the house where none exists. The project is funded by the grants. RVE recommends approval of change order number 2 to Caddick Construction Company Incorporated in the amount of $7,752.95.
Is there a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Is there a second? Second. Motion was made by Councilperson Finer, seconded by Councilperson Carlson. Any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries 7-0.
The next item is regarding the Mary Yardley Bridge. I just want to bring council an update regarding that. The process, we are still awaiting the right-of-way agreement with the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. The DCNR team indicates that this agreement is circulated for signatures for execution, and the signatures include the Bureau Director's Office, DCNR's Office of Chief Counsel, the Governor's Office of General Counsel, and the Office of Attorney General. We are waiting for those signatures as DCNR requires the approval of this right-of-way agreement before the construction commences. Additionally, RVE and the borough manager are coordinating with the solicitor on the coordination of the PICO construction easement as well. So those two agreements are outstanding before we can start our construction.
Where's the bridge? Like, where is the bridge?
The bridge is currently sitting at the manufacturer's
Okay.
yard right now.
How long until that becomes a problem? Like,
Well, what we're planning on doing is the next meeting is our contractor has requested to submit for a bill for the procurement of that bridge. So we've been coordinating with them, so next month we'll be requesting, for a payment certificate for that project.
No bridge
the bridge,
parking.
you're right.
Do you have any idea on historically how long these right-of-way agreements have taken to make their way through Harrisburg? You listed 4 places that could be 4 deep holes, in my opinion, but I could be wrong. Does anybody indicate to you how long they usually take?
Currently, no. What I do know is, right now, my point of contact is who we've been coordinating with DCNR, and I know Manager Johnson has reached out additionally to try to move this a little bit long forward. I'd be happy to forward you my contact as well, but I do not have an estimated timetable.
I think
Signature.
as we're murmuring down here, it probably makes sense to get our state representative involved at this point to help push forward, since we would rather not delay much longer on this project. So I'll follow up with Manager Johnson on that.
And just to let council know, is PICO has indicated that they do not want right now to execute a construction easement, as we are trying to purchase the PICO property too. So that's why we've requested the solicitor's assistance too with moving that forward.
Meaning they want us to close the acquisition so they don't have to bother with the easement.
Yeah, one or the, correct. Yeah.
But we're hampered there because they had to finish their construction.
Yeah,
If
what
we
is-
said we wanted to close tomorrow,
We could,
they
yeah.
wouldn't do it.
What is
because
that? What is that, by the way? What is that? I saw construction there, but what is that?
Well, they're taking a 20 by 30 maybe plot back there and putting a tower that's 90 feet tall for picking up the signals.
It's there already,
It's
the
there.
tower.
The tower's there.
Yeah.
And they've poured the piers for it's gonna be a raised platform for the electronics and everything. It's not gonna be particularly attractive, but anyhow, but they're doing all that now before they sell it to us, of course. So hopefully that won't be delayed, but they seem to be working pretty fast on that.
Any other questions from council or the public on Mary Yardley Bridge? Yes.
Will we presumably have a reduced purchase price since they're taking away 20% of the usable area?
Unfortunately not, because I'll get to this when I issue my report, but that easement is in the purchase and sale agreement, which I learned, since you and I spoke, I learned about that. So we already agreed to it.
In the original agreement, they carved out that spot.
So it's presumable that whenever, I wasn't in that negotiation, but whenever that was done, they probably said, well, in order to sell this to you, you've got to agree to this, and so.
Is it specified that it's at the current?
It's
site?
exactly, well,
There's an exhibit.
Yeah, there's an exhibit that shows it could be anywhere along a certain area. At least they chose the back end of it. I don't know if you've seen it. It's not pretty.
It's not pretty, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Someone had a question, I thought. No, okay.
Just regarding North Main Street Phase 2, we've previously discussed that. The contractor is working on addressing the punch list, and we'll relay to them regarding the comments for Fitzgerald Field. We also know that the contractor is going to be out on site addressing punch list items on starting Thursday as well for North Main Street.
I think we skipped over 46 Brown. Did we do 46 Brown payment certificate?
That was removed.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, we have a new agenda.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm behind the times, sorry. Bad.
Are there any other questions?
Any other questions for the engineer? All right, solicitor's report, please.
Yes, thank you. Just one item for council tonight. We need authorization to sign off on a proposed settlement. It's a property assessment appeal brought by the school district involving property owned by Pantry Holdings LLC within the borough. The parties have reached a tentative settlement agreement, which requires the borough as one of the taxing bodies to sign off on. The result of the settlement would be an increase in the assessed value of the property for the last 2 years and going forward. So to that extent, I guess it benefits the borough as a taxing body. So we see no reason why we would not accept this settlement agreement and seek authorization to approve it.
Thank you, and thank you for providing background. We can get into discussion and questions if there are any after. Is there a motion to authorize the assessment appeal on this property? Is there a second?
Second.
Motion is made by Councilperson McCann, seconded by Councilperson Applebaum. Discussion or questions?
Yep, Bucky, I wasn't aware of this until I saw it in the agenda packet, and I was just curious, so if I understand this, no action was taken initially by the Yardley Inn. The school district determined that that property was under-assessed and proactively began a process?
Each year, obviously the property owners can appeal an assessment
Yep.
determination, but also the taxing authorities, that have power to tax over that property can also bring an appeal and challenge the assessment one way or the other, too high, too low, whatever. So in this case, it was the school district that brought the matter. We did have notice of it. We didn't participate in the action. Didn't see the need to do so. It was the school district's matter. But we do, as one of the taxing authorities, have to sign off on the settlement.
And the financial implications are, we'll receive a one-time true-up for 21 and 22, and then going forward, they'll be at the new level for 23. Okay.
Any other questions? Questions from the public? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you. Nothing else this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Klosser. Mayor's report, please.
Yeah, thank you. Just real quickly, one final time, just wanted to thank the American Legion, the VFW, our Yardley Borough Police Department, our auxiliary police department, and all the volunteers and participants of the Memorial Day Parade. I think it was a culmination of a good morning, so thank you to all those.
Agreed, thank you. Moving on to council member reports. Councilperson Siegel Morris.
Yes, public safety met tonight, and Wes Foraker covered some issues such as the smoke outside, said if it persists and the Bucks County does not issue a safety alert, that he would consider doing that tomorrow morning. Regarding the water level in the canal, if people are asking questions about it, apparently if the river needs to be at 9.5 feet in New Hope for us to have water in our canal, and it is currently at 8.5 feet. We do not control the level of the water in the canal. Okay, thank you. We had 2 residents come to public safety this evening, one from Letchworth Avenue and one from West College, regarding speed and traffic issues on their streets. Chief is helping one of them consider a stop sign, an additional stop sign on Letchworth. And also, Chief is working with the Pennsbury Transportation person to relocate several bus stops on West College to ensure the safety of the students taking those buses. I went to the Experience Yardley meeting last night. Their website is due to be up and running in 2 weeks. They encourage people to enter things on the community calendar. You can do that currently by emailing them, and then when their website is up, there will be a button that you can add things to the community calendar yourself. Their next porch party is July 14th. The theme will be Bastille Day. This Saturday, June 10th, is the first Music Off Main with Peter V. and the Blues Train and the Farmers Market. It's second Saturday, so that's a big Saturday. And then on Sunday is Philadelphia Saxophone Quartet from 2 to 4. I think that is all I have this evening.
Question? So I also spoke to those residents outside, and I was wondering, is that something that we can just decide? If you want to add a stop sign, can we just do that? Those are not state.
Right, it's not, it's a borough-owned.
You don't know yet. We need to speak to the
We have to, yeah.
Okay.
We're looking into that, and we did let them know we would get back to them within, by the next public safety meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions? Okay, Councilperson Finer.
All right, well, we've already spoken somewhat about the 2 issues I wanted to bring up in my report, but I've been digging into this bridge to figure out, well, how is it that we have the money, we have the bid awarded, and we have the bridge, and we can't seem to get the bridge installed? And so what I learned was interesting. One is that we have, and this just to bring everyone up to speed, so we have this DCNR right-of-way agreement that was created back in 1987 that lasted 35 years and ended in May of 2022. So in March of that year, we went to extend it. And that's the agreement that Mr. Foley was talking about. It's just sitting in DCNR. We have a contact there, and it's just it's sitting. The contact doesn't know, as I understand it, how to get it through. The contact just knows that it's not been put through. So that's the first thing that's obstructing it. The second thing is that we have this Pico lot that we're in the process of buying, and we have the money for that, that we received as a grant, right? We just need to get a right-of-way because the regrading of the canal to install the bridge requires some change of the slope that's going to affect the Pico property. So working backwards for a second with Pico, I wonder why we don't, I understand the idea of trying to get another right-of-way, but why we don't just complete the purchase. It seems to me that if it's a quick process, I don't know if it's another one of these bureaucratic things, but if it's faster, maybe we ought to consider just finishing the purchase so that might actually wind up faster than having lawyers look at the slope and determine the safety and all the kind of hoopla that creates. So I just want to throw that out there, whoever's working on that, to consider. And if anybody here knows how long it should take from now to closing on that property, does anyone have an idea?
I'll look into that, as you and I were talking about earlier, yes.
So that's one thing. As far as the DCNR thing, to me, it underscores something, and, I think that we are just, it's not normal. And I've been asked, where's the bridge, where's the bridge? And other municipalities are able to get things through. What are they doing that we're not? Now, we're a small town, and I don't want to blame anyone. Everyone here is working in good faith. It's not about that. It's just that looking at an overview of it to see it's 15 months and this thing is sitting somewhere. We're not doing something that we need to be doing. I don't know what that is. Maybe it's, working with the representatives. I just want to ask for help. Anyone who has ideas, we need to get things through. We can't have things just sitting in bureaucracy, and that we can't accept that as normal, because it's not normal. And even if that's what other small towns deal with, we have to be different. We have to find some way to push through bureaucracy and not accept it as just, that's the way it is. Because it's crazy to be having a bridge sitting there that we can't install, because some people won't sign a document that's been around for 35 years. It's just crazy. So I just wanted to say that and share where we're at. And done, so thanks.
Fully agree with you. Thank you. Councilperson Curtin?
So we are approaching mid-year, believe it or not. So our objective, Don and I will be sitting with Patty and Paula in early July with the objective that at the July 18th meeting, we'll present sort of a mid-year, how we're doing versus our budget and outlook for the rest of the year. And we'll use that as a springboard as we move right into preparation of the 2024 budget, which will begin in August.
Great. Councilperson McCann?
No report.
Councilperson Applebaum?
Thank you. I have 4 short things. First, going back a week, I'd like to thank Parks and Rec for the great job that they did for organizing and running the 2 races, the 5K and the mile. It was a great success, thanks to everyone, all the contributions from that committee. Wanted to do a shout out for one of our stores, because they were not included in the sponsorship shirt. So just quickly thanking the Ye Old Flower Shop for the donation of flowers to both races, male and female winners, and much appreciated. Second, there was a watershed grant that we applied for, we did not receive. However, the good news is that we have resubmitted to the American Water Charitable Foundation, and we will be hearing back if that pass-through grant. We're working with the Delaware River Greenway Partnership and the Spearhead Global Foundation to see if we can receive approximately the same amount of money, $10,000, for a project that obviously won't be for Earth Day, but a similar project for a multi-day cleanup along our waterways here in Yardley. Third, tonight we had a very successful LGBTQ plus ceremony recognizing Pride Month. I am very appreciative to all the people that came, all the people that contributed. Marlene Prey from Rainbow Room, Lisa and Max from Yardley Tattoo, some students who represented the community, and gentleman, Nick Amy, who was from a mental health organization, talking about the importance of checking in with our friends and family to make sure that they are okay. And just to let you know that I am passionate about making sure that people are tolerant of people's differences, and that's what I stand for as a person, a resident, and as a council member. And the show of support was overwhelming, so I think that it was a success in those terms. Finally, and Madam President, maybe you can help me with this, because I'm not sure exactly how you wanted me to do it, but for Juneteenth, Monday the 19th is a national holiday. I like to get a consensus for holding another event where we will also have a celebration of that
We
holiday.
voted on the event permit, so you're good to
So
go.
we're good to go on that? We don't have to get a further, okay. Just making sure. All right, you never know, a little extra due diligence there. All right, so I do thank everyone for their support on that. Additionally, just for the community to know that June 14th is Flag Day, and we have already, flying the American flag, and I probably on my own will be there one night just to do the Pledge of Allegiance if anyone wants to join me, but it's not an official event. So with that, I thank everyone.
Thank you, Councilperson Applebaum, and it was a wonderful gathering, as you said tonight. Thank you for your leadership to make sure that we had a well-done Pride celebration here in Yardley Borough.
Thank you, Madam President.
I have no report this evening. Councilperson Carlson.
No report.
Does anyone have any discussion items that weren't submitted for the packet? Hearing none, move on to other business. Authorization for Congressman Fitzpatrick to deliver Trenton Airport Environmental Studies letter signed by Yardley Borough Secretary. So a little bit of background on this one. On April 12th, Secretary Buttigieg visited the Trenton Airport along with New Jersey representatives, and Secretary Buttigieg was asked for infrastructure funds to fund the new terminal. Congressman Fitzpatrick subsequently wrote a letter to Buttigieg asking him to withhold the federal fundings for the terminal until the environmental studies were completed. So a little bit of history of this body, even predating my term and all of our terms, I think, on this council. We have supported a call for environmental studies of the expansion at the airport. We're not necessarily against the airport existing. We just believe, or have in the past voted to take a stand that an environmental impact study should be completed before it is expanded. And the current expansion is proposed to quintuple the size of the existing airport. And we care about this because of air traffic. So I live in a neighborhood where the airplanes fly over my roof at all hours. So again, Congressman Fitzpatrick has offered to hand deliver these letters to Secretary Buttigieg. So we have borrowed language that our neighbors, including those in Lower Makefield, have used. And I'll just read it quickly for the record. We are a coalition of state and local elected officials from Bucks County, Pennsylvania, who are concerned about the proposed expansion of the Trenton Mercer Airport in Mercer County, New Jersey. Our communities sit a few miles from the airport on the other side of the Delaware River, and the expansion will undoubtedly affect our residents. Yet the environmental and health impacts on local communities have never been thoroughly evaluated. Collectively, we urge you not to allocate any federal funding for this project until all potential impacts have been identified, evaluated, and mitigated. The FAA and Mercer County have continuously misrepresented the expansion plans as simply a construction project to replace an aging terminal building, when in fact the plans call for a massive expansion, including quintupling the size of the terminal. In accepting the characterization of the expansion as simply a construction project, the FAA and the county have refused to acknowledge that the improvements will pave the way for significantly more flights in and out of the airport, as well as an increase in ground traffic. This failure to acknowledge the true breadth of the projects has allowed the project to move forward without an environmental impact statement to fully evaluate the impacts of the expansion. It is also important to note that this failure comes on the heels of 10-plus years of piecemeal airport expansion projects that have resulted in an unprecedented increase in air and ground traffic at the airport, none of which was ever subject to the environmental impact statement. We urge you not to approve funding and to stop the county from moving forward with this project until an EIS and health risk assessment have been completed. Thank you for your consideration, and the signatories would be myself and Manager Johnson. Do I hear a motion to authorize Yardley Borough to sign this letter?
So moved.
Is there a
Second.
second? Motion was made by Councilperson Applebaum, seconded by Councilperson Finer. Any discussion from council?
Just want to thank you for writing that. and for
Did not
taking-
write it,
Oh,
but
Well, for putting your name on it.
yes, you're
And
welcome.
just for taking action, because I know we have a long history of supporting these efforts, but I know from going door to door that as you get more towards your neighborhood in that area, it's just something that it's probably the number one issue that people talk about. That and traffic calming is the two things I hear the most about. So I just know a lot of people care about it, and anything we can do to help those efforts are much appreciated.
6:05 a.m. this morning, right over my roof,
Yeah.
rumble, rumble. So yes, I hear you on that. Any other comments?
And I'll just echo what Councilman Finer expressed, that it is a fundamental issue for many people here in the borough, these quality of life issues, especially at the expansion and the size and the manner in which it's done, and just asking them to do due diligence, because there is not only the noise and then the traffic, but also the air pollution that will come with it too, living in this area. So fully support it, and thank you for your leadership in sending that letter along.
Sure. Anything else? Otherwise, I'll call the question. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries 7-0. Anything else? Otherwise, I will entertain a motion to adjourn. Is there a second? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned at 8:22.